Okay, and we're live on the Niche Agent. So today we've got a great guest for you. It's Matt Aitchison you're the one half of Aitchison Adams real estate team. You're out in California. We actually had Rachel on the show a couple months, actually, I think it was last month. So
Perfect. Yeah, so Matt Aitchison, I'm based out of Sacramento, and my business partner Rachel and I have a team of, including admin, about 10 total out of the Roseville Market Center, and we service all over kind of a tri-county area, and we recently just expanded our real estate team out into San Francisco, Silicon Valley area. We have somewhat of a different diversity into our real estate model. Is we're obviously heavy sales retail platform. We also own an investment company where we flip houses on the side. I'm mainly spending my time day to day in the investment arena, working with investors, purchasing properties on behalf of our own portfolio and our own capital, and we also consult with a handful of hedge funds, finding them acquisitions and assets that make sense for their portfolio. So we found that leg to be kind of a vital piece to our platform, and it was something that I was really passionate about. So I ended up kind of building a model that clicked into, your traditional retail platform, and additionally thought, through the investment side, we were working with so many contractors, and I said, why not own our own construction company? So I actually went out and created a construction company as well with another partner outside of Rachel, and we kind of use those three key pieces to continue building our team and our platform through Keller Williams.
awesome. What I love about your business model is that you have some diversity, but you're still very targeted, and you have the same kind of end goal in mind for all of those departments of your business.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. We've learned. I'm going on. Rachel and I are both going on 3 years in February, being with Keller Williams and just really being licensed. And our first year, we were learning, we were plugging into all the trainings that Keller Williams had to offer, and just soaking in as much as we possibly could. And we did about 10 million in sales, 34 deals, something like that. Our second year, we ended up at 109 deals, and we're right around 19 million. This year to date, we're sitting at about 33 million. I'm guessing we'll finish the year up at about 37, 38 million, in that range. And we just really focused on what Gary Keller, and Jay Papasan wrote about in their One Thing. And it's kind of that cliched saying, you hear it so much, but it was one of those things that we said, okay, let's master these legs of our business and plug into the areas that we enjoy doing. What are we passionate about? She is extremely passionate about helping buyers and sellers achieve their real estate goals, and she's the bubbly. We call her the fluff. I'm the stuff. I'm more of a realism. She's more of a driver and an optimist, and it's a great yin and yang type of situation, but she was fantastic at it. So I wanted her to go out and do what she's great at, and I was very passionate about business building and wealth building, and I found that those two really do work well together, and a lot of people write it off as being two completely different types of business when they actually cohesively kind of work hand in hand very well.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I've said this many times, is a lot of times people will take this as a career. The real estate part is a career, so there's a difference between a business and a career. In a career, there's a lot of agents out there who are career agents, and there's nothing wrong with that, and they're making money and they're having an income, but they're not building the business side of it. And you guys have really focused on growing that business and growing the wealth through the business and spreading it out between the businesses and really building all of those together.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at it from, we all get into this business to make money, right? At the end of the day, there was something that drew us to real estate, and majority of the personalities in the real estate industry are entrepreneurial type personalities that enjoy the ability to not have any cap on what you can achieve or someone telling you what to do every day. But the people that you interview on your own show, the people that you see at these, massive international in U.S. seminars in the real estate industry are all people who treat their business like a legitimate organization and corporation, and they run it and structure it just like any other large business would be run. So we figured, I'm 26, Rachel just turned 30, and we figured, we want to do it right, and we want to do it right out of the gate.
Yep.
There's no need for us to try and figure this out over the long term. It was an intentional positioning of our abilities, and then we figured out, let's go out and model after other people who have already done it at an extremely high level, and let's run it like a business. And you don't learn leadership skills or management skills. You can't just kind of put a chip in your brain, well, I'd like to, and download that information overnight. So we failed, we have failed in many scenarios. At the same time, we have allowed ourselves to fail and know that's okay, and just pick ourselves back up and not make the same mistakes, and keep running the business and improving it from an operational and an organizational standpoint, and try and create something that people want to be a part of.
Right. So when I had Rachel on, we talked about the community side of things and the farming and how you guys have done that. So when we talked about that, I want to talk about more on the investment side and the wealth building side, because that's kind of where you're really passionate about and really what you're bringing to the table. So can you walk us through what that looks like from your business side and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis?
Sure, absolutely. So day-to-day basis, there's a lot of leadership activities that, accountability and goal setting and vision and motivating the people that are in our organization and getting the buy-in and creating a culture that is fun and an environment that's enjoyable to work in. So that's kind of half of my day. I'm a big believer in leveraging the pieces that you put in place, and a lot of people who run businesses at a very high level have mastered that skill. So that's something that I've really taken to heart and tried to get better at. So right now, a lot of my investment stuff is running without me being there. However, the day-to-day, what it looked like before was we had an extensive marketing campaign. We send out about 8,000 to 10,000 mailers a month, and these are kind of niche letters to niche lists that are targeted for people that potentially would meet what our investment criteria is looking for. Mm-hmm. Mainly the people that we end up purchasing homes from for our personal assets are going to be distressed situations, houses that need a little bit of love. We've gotten a lot of momentum from attorneys, probate, divorce, receiverships where there's disputed assets. So we target specific lists and specific relationships that we know are going to feed the business. Yep. That's going to hit the criteria that is going to make us some money. On the other side, it's nice when we have a lot of these conversations with the sellers and we let them know, hey, Mr. Seller, this is what my initial intention is for trying to purchase your property. However, I also have a real estate company where my business partner Rachel runs and manages, and I hold my real estate license. So if we can't facilitate a cash deal on this side of the business, I'd like to have you sit down with Rachel, and we need to get you highest and best dollar for your property. Depending on what option makes the most sense for you in your circumstances, we want that. So we basically lay out kind of the different options of you could go cash, as is, we cover all the closing costs, we close in 7 days, no hassle, and that allows us to kind of get more of a discounted opportunity and see where their motivational level is at. And mind you, never are we taking advantage of anybody. It's does their motivation meet the opportunity that we are seeking out? And if that's not the case, 100% I will always recommend, as a professional and as our fiduciary duty, is to lead them over to talking with Rachel about what it looks like to net them top dollar for their house if they're willing to do X, Y, and Z, put a sign in the yard, negotiate repairs with the buyer, the traditional route of going. So my day-to-day is mainly spent with distressed sellers and figuring out what makes the most sense for them and their family, and if that means selling to us at potentially a discounted price and that makes them happy and they want that property off their plate, then we have the capital and the means to not only move forward on that property quickly, but we're also gonna, as an investment company, make some good money off of it.
Yeah. So for you, obviously, that transition makes sense too. If they aren't interested in taking your offer, to pass it off to the real estate. So that's a great seamless business venture. That makes sense.
Yep.
How much would you say goes from the we'll take your cash offer, and how much would you say goes into the real estate side of the residential listing?
I would say it's about, so this year we've purchased 34 homes as 34 homes as investment property flips that we have flipped. We've also purchased a couple rentals for a portfolio, and I would say about 60% of them that we have the conversation with, and mind you, the conversation is already starting with them calling me based off of the direct mail piece or the introduction that relationship has already passed along to us. So these are warm leads. These aren't me cold calling them. These are people who are really interested in what we potentially have to say and what we can offer, and they're already somewhat in the mindset of it could be a distressed situation and I need to explore this option a little bit more. Or, the other 40% goes to Rachel. I set up the listing appointment for her, and she goes in and gives them, her listing pitch and kind of closes the deal from there. So from our investment company, from purchase side to we rehab it to resale side, I would say that's been about 55% of our business this year.
Okay, that's good to know. So when you do flip it and resell it, is that going through the traditional real estate sale pipeline, or are you selling it through your connections, or is it going to the market like a typical house would?
Going to the market like any typical house would. We want to run, at the end of the day, we want to, because the nice thing is we can separate the profits from the investment company, and then we also, incorporate a traditional listing fee that we can still run profits through our Aitchison Adams corporation as well. So it gives us the ability to keep both entities separate, but everything that is purchased through the investment company runs through Aitchison Adams. So we not only get the credit for the GCI, we get the credit for the sales volume, the units. So we wanted to make sure that was a strategic play on, we want to make sure that that investment platform is also allowing us to build up our brand in our market and get our name out there more and get more listings out there and get a marketing platform and strategy that's going to be recognizable to other potential retail or investment sellers that may want to utilize our services.
Yeah. So obviously then the majority of your lead generation is coming from those sources then, I would guess.
On the investment side, majority of our lead generation is direct mail and through the allied resources, we like to call it, those close, warm relationships that know what we can do, know we can perform, and feel confident utilizing that relationship to help them achieve their goal as well. On the Aitchison and Adams side, obviously Rachel discussed, the farming and the open houses, and we have a handful of online lead platforms that generate business for us and our buyers team. So we have, a couple different, we like to call them the lead levers that allow us to bring in consistent leads for the team, but a handful of it has been our investment company feeding in some great, opportunity to leverage on the retail side to also generate more leads.
Yeah. Now I know with investors, when I got started, I was doing a lot of investment. I was working with a lot of investors. Typically, what you find, I found, was investors aren't really tied to one person. They don't care when they're buying the properties. You're kind of skipping that because you guys are buying yourself.
Correct. So don't get me wrong. I mean, it took me a while to get to this place. I got there a little bit faster than some people have. And that was honestly by one of the missing pieces, and I think it's a scarcity mindset, drunk monkey thought, whatever you want to call it, is I don't have the money to go out and do this myself.
Right.
And if you have the right systems and the right team in place, if you find one deal, that's all it took for me to get started. And I found one deal. I begged, borrowed, and scratched and clawed and asked anybody that was even willing to listen to me. Mind you, I was organized and I had a business plan and I had a lot of these pieces laid out, but it took me one deal. Once I got that one deal, I had a few people willing to offer me more money. I did, 2 deals, flips my first year. I did 7 flips last year, and I'll probably end up, 35 plus this year.
Wow.
And, we wanted to do 50. the first year. I'm sorry, we wanted to do 50 this year. The model has changed a little bit because we want to go more into some higher retail price points, less volume, higher margin. But it's one of those things where people think they can't do this, and you're only a few conversations or a few little tweaks away from creating this yourself. So to answer your question, yes, I worked with a handful of investors. I was the bird dogger, we like to call it, finding the deals, and that gets tiring. You get burnt out, and a lot of investors don't have loyalty to the people that are bringing them deals. Mind you, if you provide a good service and you know what you're talking about, I started with 2 or 3 investors that I did 10 to 15 deals with a year. It allowed me to learn their systems. It allowed me to provide a good value resource for them that I could build up my own models, and I built up a lot of, construction relationships, a lot of other investor networking relationships. So there's definitely an upside to being that bird dogger, but just know that, there is those people out there that really aren't going to be committed to you, and that's up to you to have the conversation with them to see where their motivation level is at. Are they experienced? How many deals have they done? What is their return on investment they're looking for? Really understand what that client needs and see if you can fit it, or if you're willing to fit it. It may not be worth your time. So those are all things that through a lot of stressful showings and long days and nights of trying to find properties, I finally kind of understood that side of the real estate world better, because the investing arena is very different than your retail client. That's one of the reasons why I like it, is it's black and white. It's non-emotion. Numbers make sense, and that's it. Whereas on the retail side, there's a lot of hand-holding. There's a lot of conversating over specific things that the investment arena that doesn't happen. It's just it's a black and white world, versus on the retail side, it's more emotionally driven.
So for you, you obviously had some skills that you brought to the table. When you built your model, was this, where you guys are at now, was that kind of where you had the plan originally when you started 3 years ago?
To be honest, there's always been that famous saying of plan for where you want to go, not for where you are. So I started my model out thinking I wanted to flip 100 houses a year, because one of my mentors was managing one of the largest flipping hedge funds in California.
Wow.
And I met her through one of my first investment deals, and I found this investment deal I woke up at 4 in the morning. I had a sign stapler, and I went around to all different kinds of telephone poles throughout the neighborhoods that I wanted to get leads in, and I was stapling up signs. And I got my first investment deal that ended up being a home run, and she heard about me through this one deal. And that basically allowed me to see what their models were, and what I'm big on modeling. That's kind of the way my brain works, systematic, and imitation is the best form of flattery. So I said, all right, well, I'm going to do what they're doing. Why not? And obviously that wasn't realistic. I think I did 2 my first year and 8 the next, but it was one of those things where I really was planning for where I was going to go and not where I currently was at, and I built a model that was much bigger than I really knew at the time, but it also allowed me to find ways to fill in those gaps that if I would have built, a 5 flip year model versus a 100 flip year model, I probably wouldn't be flipping 35 plus homes this year.
I always take the people that I'm coaching, I say the systems that you get you to 5 deals are not the same that are going to get you to 20, and they're not going to be the same that get you to 100. So I might as well put the 100 deal systems in place and work that way, because if you get into it and you're doing 5 deal a year systems, you probably may not want to redo them, or you may just get stuck in that rut and end up doing 5 deals. So aim bigger, put those systems in place ahead of time, and run with them.
Absolutely, it's that shoot for the moon, and if you fall a little bit short, at least you're relaxing in the stars. And I'm a big believer in just aiming big, thinking as big as you possibly can. And there's been times where I thought I was thinking big, and then you do something and you're like, wow, I can achieve so much more. And so I really like to encourage people to, they always talk about, well, what does that go? Okay, cross it out and double it. and just pushing your goals and expanding your mindset to think bigger than you think you can possibly achieve. Because I put a post on Facebook today is, what you're going out and you're seeking to achieve, we already have those skills within us. We already are that. You already are a successful flipper. I used to tell myself all these affirmations, and after some time, I truly believed it, and then my results started reflecting it, and I went, oh, this is kind of cool. I need to self-talk myself up a little bit more. But yeah, I'm a big believer in goal setting and modeling, and just getting the goals down that are going to be much bigger than you think you can achieve. And if you put the action and the time towards it, you'll find a way to fill those gaps and connect the dots.
Yeah, it's very true. And a lot of people just never start. And if they just started rolling with it, they would realize they can get there and get there sooner or bigger than they thought.
Yeah, I mean, there was that. What was it, that Stanford study about goal setting, and people who just write it down are 50% more likely of achieving their goals, and then people who read their goals over 50 times a year are 75% more likely. I'm kind of fudging the statistics here a little bit, but it was one of those things where just starting with the goal setting and then reviewing your goals and then finding ways to take action towards your goals is going to do so much more than just thinking it in your head and feeling like that's enough.
So you mentioned that you're big on models and systems, and with with real estate, we have people like Gary Keller, who's written The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, which is the system, it's the model on how to run a successful business. For you, obviously, the investment side of it, I would imagine there's not as much resources, or is there? I don't know. And so I want to ask is, where did you model that from? And you had mentioned you had a mentor and things like that. So what were those where did you get the models from? Where did you base that off of? And how did you put that into your business model as a whole?
Sure, yeah. So there was, so when I was kind of backing up a little bit, when I was 13, 14, 15, my mom was dragging me to all of these flipping seminars, make $50,000 on this house, and this was kind of before, HGTV had 50 shows on it. Yeah. And I was a lot younger, and I was going with her to all these shows, or all these seminars, and she would, pay $10,000 to sit in a week-long seminar, and we'd learn about all these models and these tactics and these procedures and systems that you could implement and going out and finding a flip. And we'd complete the week. She would, put all of the information on the shelf in her office, and she'd go back to her day job. And I was always going in there and reading all the information that she put up on the shelf. And so I kind of had that bug planted in me at an early age. And when I went to UC Santa Barbara, I worked at an investment firm the 4 years I was down there. And I really started kind of creating some models of avenues that I could go about, achieving some of these investment flips. And when I met Brandy, who was running the asset management firm, I basically said, hey, I'm here to work for free. I will do whatever it takes I know there's a price tag on the information that you're teaching me, so tell me what to do and I'll do it. Show me how to do it and I'll get it down on paper. And so I really just started modeling after this hedge fund. So what does it look like financially to analyze an asset that makes sense? What is return on investment? What is a cap rate? What are, starting to understand the investment lingo is your general, realtor kind of doesn't know what a lot of that means. And it blows my mind, because I was telling you earlier is I'm such a big fan and a big advocate for, we are the professional. We are in real estate every day. We see the deals come across our plate every day, and people come to us, the consumer, to either help them find a great real estate deal or sell their property for top dollar. So we are the professional, yet we're all about building other people's wealth and not our own. I mean, that just blows my mind. So I really wanted to understand how this, asset management firm was running and operating, because people were giving them hundreds of thousands of dollars to go out and make them money, and us as realtors are in that position on a daily basis. So why not understand that and find a way to get our piece of the pie as well?
Yeah, I think it's important that you'd mentioned that you said you basically gave up your time for free to help and learn. And so many people want to just jump right in. They want to be here and they want to just be top dog. They want to know everything. And you got to put your time in. You got to learn. Either it's going to cost you. You go to the seminars, you're spending tens of thousands of dollars, or you got to put your time in and learn it. And you kind of obviously did both. And that's why you've had the success you've had. And I find a lot of agents aren't committed fully to do that, especially when it comes to narrowing it down. They may dabble in some investments, they may dabble in some flipping, they may dabble in commercial property, they may dabble in real estate, and they don't really jump in full-heartedly. And you obviously, you committed to it and you went with it, and you've had the success you've had.
I mean, it's that cliched statement. I mean, there is no magic pill to success, and you're gonna have to put in the time and the energy and the blood and sweat and tears in order to go out and hit your goals. I mean, Michael Jordan or Donald Trump. I mean, you talk about all these people that are doing things at the absolute highest level, and when I was younger, I was like, man, what did it take to get to that level? And then as maturity and life and wisdom starts to set in a little bit more, you realize that they had such an insane dedication to their craft and mastering it and really understanding every single thing about it that's what really pushed them to success. It didn't happen overnight, and those legacies were built over years. So I'm a very impatient person, and while I would love it to happen overnight, it's one of those things where I've learned to, just understand that there's a process behind it, and you have to be dedicated to the process, and you have to be committed to it. And if there's so many people who quit or give up right when they're right there, they're right on that breaking point of seeing success that would just catapult them to new heights in their mindset, in their physical or mental abilities. And so I'm a big believer in just constant education, and also, I mean, you can self-educate all you want, but you have to be willing to take action. And my theme for this year has, Matt, you better get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And there has been so many oh crap moments this year where I'm like, dude, I am uncomfortable. This is not feel right. And looking back on it, not only the results that I've gained through those moments, but the newfound confidence I've received has allowed me to become a better investor, a better consultant for the people that I work with, and a better business owner, which ultimately funds an amazing life for me and my family, and allows me to help other people achieve their goals as well.
That's great advice, and I wish people understood that and really applied that, because if they just applied that in a small scale to their life, they would see dramatic changes in themselves, in their business, and in their family and everything around them.
There's just so many people. I'm harsh sometimes. I come off a little brash to some people, and it's just because I want people to understand that they have we all start at the same place. We all have the same abilities to go out and achieve the things that we want to achieve. The universe wants us to have what we want to have, and it's already given it to us. We ourselves just have to align with it. So there's so many people that like to talk, and they say, walk the talk. I'm a big believer in making sure that your video, your actions are matching your audio and what you're talking about all the time. So anybody that tells me that they want to do something, I'm a big proponent on extreme accountability. So if you tell me something, I'm going to be all over you and making sure that you achieve it. And I expect the same thing. And that's been those uncomfortable conversations and those uncomfortable times where people are calling you out on your crap is probably the times that I've kicked my butt into gear the quickest. So I encourage everybody to just find an accountability partner, find a mentor, somebody that's doing it at a much higher level than you. And if you're willing to put in the time and you show them that, people will invest in you. The right people will invest in you. There's a lot of people out there who call themselves mentors or educators and necessarily aren't willing to give back and be of service for the right reasons. But the right people, you will know that, and you will propel yourself to new levels of success that have been it's been an amazing ride. It's fun. I love what I do every day, and I like the people I get to be surrounded by, and I've been fortunate enough to be blessed with some financial security in the process.
That's awesome. So, other than sleepless nights with your new baby, where's the future of your business going? Because you talked about modeling the systems and setting those goals. So, in the next year or 2 years, where do you see things going with your business?
To be honest, with expansion, it's really made us focus more down on what we like to call our hub, our corporate team, which is the Sacramento model. And we see ourselves really expanding the corporate model into furthering that mega team. And then, the Bay Area is a very lucrative market, where Sacramento, we're at about a 290 price point average. The Bay Area is about a 900 price point average, depending on those areas. So we'd like to continue expanding our team out into the Bay Area. And the awesome thing is once you have the models down, you can literally go expand and duplicate the model into any other area, as long as your support systems and your admin and all of the different procedures are dialed in. So we want to break 100 million. I mean, that's our goal. We want our expansion teams, along with Sacramento, to be a $100 million team each year, and it's an awesome opportunity through Keller Williams. And I know there's a lot of other great companies out there. And just through Keller Williams, we've seen the value in being able to somewhat franchise our company within a name brand company without any franchise fees. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool. So we like that opportunity, and I continue seeing as we expand the real estate team, the investment company is going to go hand in hand right next to those real estate markets, and we'll be flipping in those markets, and I'll also be expanding my construction company out into those markets as well. So it's a cool thing. Real estate happens to be the hub, and I'm looking at a few other businesses that operate and revolve around real estate. And if you continue to expand one company, there's no reason, if you have the right systems, the right people on board, and the right mindset of going about and doing it, that you can expand the other companies right alongside of them.
That's great. So, if people are looking to get into investing or have an investing part already in their business, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to agents who are kind of wanting to add that or grow that in their business?
I would definitely say the first thing anybody should do is you got to start with a business plan. I mean, so many people think that just because they have something in their head, it's gonna be executable. You really have to get something down on paper and model what that looks like, and figure out how that ties into your real estate team or your real estate business. And I'm a big believer in great opportunities and businesses are built on the people that are involved with them. So go find someone in your office, your market center, or just in your region, your area, at an investment club, or through your local MLS board or whatever it is, that is flipping and investing at a high level, and be a value add to them. Find a way to take them out to lunch, or to assist in an open house, or whatever it may be, and be a value add, and you will be able to learn the models and systems that they're applying in their business and duplicate them. Duplicate them in your own company. And so I would say just start with the business plan and figure out what that model looks like and how it ties into where you're at right now, and then figure out the people you need on board, the team you need on board, and then go out and start building the relationships.
That's great advice. And for someone as young as you and to do it as quick as you've done, people have no excuse, because people, I'm not old enough, I don't have enough experience yet. To see you do it and grow what you've grown at 26 years old is massive. So no one has an excuse.
No excuses, man. I mean, there's just so many people that you could find an excuse all day long, and I see people who have been in the business for such a long time, and all it takes is a little paradigm shift. It just takes a little bit of a mindset shift, and when you see a little light at the end of the tunnel, it's kind of like that dangling carrot. You just want to keep going after it. So anybody that tells me they can't do it, it's just a mindset. It's something that they're struggling with, and I challenge anybody to feel free to reach out to me, and I would be happy to debunk any of those drunk monkey comments that you have, because I've had a lot of those myself, and I've had, luckily enough, a lot of great people in my inner sphere that have allowed me to break through those. So
awesome. And that leads up to what's the best way if our listeners do want to connect with you and find out what you're up to, how can they connect with you and see what you're doing?
They can always reach out to me on my Facebook page. That is facebook.com/Matty Aitchison, MattyAitchison. Or you can reach us on our Facebook page. I'm on Twitter at MattAitchison1.com. Big on social media. Rachel and I are big on social media. That's a great platform for connecting and getting in touch with other people around the country. Or you can always shoot me an email at my last name, Aitchison-Adams.com. And I'd be more than happy to connect. I'm a big proponent of paying it forward, and people have done it for me, so I really enjoy doing it for others. So if there's anything I can help anybody on with investing, please don't hesitate. I'm here to help.
Awesome. And we'll put that all in the show notes so people can check that out, and the links will all be there so everyone can connect with you. So, Matt, I really appreciate you being on the show. It's been great to see your enthusiasm and passion, and that's such a common theme with the guests that we've had on the show is they're very passionate about it and they love what they do, and it's clear in your case that you're passionate about it. So thank you for sharing your insights, and I know our listeners are really going to appreciate it.
Ryan, thank you, man. It was a great time.
Thank you. We appreciate it.